Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your latest Manchester United news. And we're in trouble. We're in big trouble in the lead up to this Community Shield match on the weekend and the start of the season as a whole. Injuries galore for Manchester United. They seem to be coming from last season, continuing on into this season, and it's not looking good for Manchester United. Centre-backs are injured. What are we going to do? And what does that mean for the transfer window? We're talking about Matthias de Ligt. Go and get him now. Reports are suggesting within the last maybe half an hour or so that United are potentially looking at pulling out or the race for him, if it even can be called a race. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to be talking as well about Luke Shaw. Again, he's coming back to pre-season with another injury, and it looks like he's going to continue to struggle to get his fitness at Manchester United. Should we be looking at a left back instead of a right back? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk as well, guys, about a number of different areas. Obviously, we're talking about Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof as well, on top of the fact that Lenny Yoro is also out. What are we going to do at centre-back? We've got updates on Wan-Bissaka as well. We're going to talk about that. Updates as well on Sander Berge to Manchester United. Supposedly, he has agreed to join the club. However, United, like a number of different transfer dealings so far this season, are yet to pull the trigger on it. And we're going to talk a little bit about Jadon Sancho as well. Reports coming out today suggesting that PSG are upping their efforts to sign the player. But can we afford to actually let him go? That's how bad it's gone at Manchester United at the moment. Look, we don't be negative too often, but I'm starting to get a little bit worried. We're going to talk about it all, as always, guys. More importantly, I want to hear from you tonight. Very important news show in relation to injuries, in relation to how United are attacking the transfer window and how we're actually going to be set up for the start of the season. So please do get your comments in as much as possible, guys, and we'll go through as many of them as we possibly can. Do smash a like on the video as well, guys, if you haven't done so already. On the road to 11,000 subscribers, which is absolutely brilliant. So hit subscribe if you're new. Smash a like on the video. Get your votes in as well, guys. We've got a poll running on YouTube. Are you worried about Manchester United's transfer window so far? Obviously, you know, we're talking about, what have we got? Just over 3 weeks to go in the transfer window. We've got 2 days to the Community Shield, and we've got less than 10 days to go before the start of the Premier League season. So, you know, I don't usually say this, but I'm getting a little bit worried. But look, we're going to talk about everything, guys, and we're going to start with the injuries at Manchester United. It's been confirmed today that 4 Manchester United defenders are doubtful for the Manchester City game. It was originally reported this morning by The Athletic that Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire were going to be out. But now we hear as well, and this is of course on top of the Lenny Yoro situation. We've got also Luke Shaw is not going to be available for the weekend, and as well Wan-Bissaka was nowhere to be seen at training today. I mean, you know, we're getting players back from I suppose their summer break who played international football, who deserve a longer rest, and we might not have the opportunity to give them that rest. And what is that going to mean for the remainder of the season? You know, so look, let's talk about centre-back first and foremost, okay? We've got 5 senior centre-backs at the club so far, or at the moment, sorry. We've got, obviously, Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, we've got Lenny Yoro, we've got Martinez, and then we've also got Johnny Evans. Now, 2 of them are fit at the moment, okay? 2. The first one is Lisandro Martinez, who is literally only back in pre-season this week. I think has had probably 2 training sessions or 2 days back in pre-season. And the other one is Johnny Evans. Okay, now, we heard today from Erik ten Hag, and Fabrizio Romano was speaking about it. He said today in his press conference that Lindelof, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw are question marks for the Community Shield. Lisandro Martinez will be involved, okay? Now, is Lisandro Martinez, sorry, let me zoom in on this, my apologies. Is Lisandro Martinez going to be involved out of necessity? And I think that has to be the case here, because I don't see why you would put Lisandro Martinez into a game like this, you know, on the back of him having a very long summer. You know, obviously he was injured for a good bit of last season, but he's played an awful lot of football over the summer, winning the Copa America as well. And he deserves to have the time off. But according to Erik ten Hag, he will be involved on the weekend. So straight away you're talking about the two fit centre-backs that we've got are Lisandro Martinez and Johnny Evans. So I don't really see, unless Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, miraculously recover between now and Saturday afternoon, it probably is going to be Johnny Evans and Lisandro Martinez. Now, I done my match preview today on YouTube. Go check it out after this if you want. And we spoke about our predicted 11. And I had my predicted 11 with my two centre-backs as Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans, because I was unaware, this was before Erik ten Hag's interview, I was unaware that Lisandro Martinez was even going to be considered for the game. So, it's very worrying. It's very worrying, okay? And, what I'm concerned most about here, whatever about the game on the weekend and the injuries that we have going into it, like Lindelof, Maguire, so on and so forth, at centre-back, bringing Lisandro Martinez back this early, okay, and playing him. Now, if he plays in the Community Shield, chances are he's probably going to play against Fulham next Friday night. And, that's a major worry for me, because you're bringing him back into the fold without a proper rest, okay, and what is that going to mean further down the line in the season? All it's doing, in my opinion, is it's setting us up for more injuries down the line. And look, I understand we're going into a Community Shield game against Manchester City at Wembley, and you want to win. Of course you do. But at what cost do you want to win? Do you want to win and play the likes of Martinez and, 3 weeks into the season he gets another injury and he's out for 3 months? We can't afford that to happen. We literally cannot afford that to happen. Now, there has been a lot of people saying today in the TikTok that I've done about the same topic, maybe Casemiro to play centre-back again. Well, if Casemiro plays centre-back, who in God's name are we going to play in centre midfield? That's the concern there as well, because we've got players, that have been on extended leave, Kobbie Mainoo, for example, Bruno Fernandes. These guys, are they going to be involved as well on the weekend? I don't know. I think we're hearing about Lisandro Martinez being available out of necessity more than anything else. I think if Lisandro Martinez is coming back in to be involved after his break, then you have to include the likes of Kobbie Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes if it's, simply down to that fact. The fact that there's more injuries at central defence, I think is why Lisandro Martinez has been included in this. And Chris says here, the Community Shield means nothing. Tell that to players, tell that to the manager, tell that to, everybody going to watch the game when it's City versus Manchester United. I think it does matter. And yeah, I'm concerned. I really am. Now, we're talking about centre-backs here, okay? Lenny Yoro is out. Maguire and Lindelof are doubts, okay? Lisandro Martinez is obviously not up to full speed yet. What does this mean about our pursuit of another centre-back? And I think this is very important here. And we're talking, of course, about Matthijs de Ligt, okay? And reports coming out in the past maybe hour or so are suggesting that United's deal for Matthijs de Ligt is potentially in jeopardy as Bayern Munich have ended their pursuit of Jonathan Tah. And that this is coming out of Germany specifically. Now, one of the reports from Bild, literally, when was this? This was about 20 minutes ago, has said that the Bayern Munich and Jonathan Tah is not completely off. Bayern management are still keen to sign if De Ligt leaves the club. Okay, now that's if De Ligt leaves the club. We've mentioned it before, haven't we, about the domino effect when it comes to the transfer window and players in, players out. And we spoke about Wan-Bissaka a lot when it comes to this. We need another centre-back, okay? We need another centre-back. Now, Bayern Munich want £43 million for De Ligt with bonuses. United are not willing to pay that. I don't think we've got the luxury of not paying it. Now, maybe United are saying, right, well, we'll give this another few days, and if we can't get it done, obviously they're not going to get it done before the Community Shield, but if we can get him in before the start of the season next Friday, I still think you're running it really, really tight. I really do. We're desperate for another centre-back, all right? With the players that we had before all of these injuries, we were saying we needed another centre-back. not just for quality, but for depth more than anything else. Johnny Evans has a year extension on his contract. Johnny Evans should play 10 games this season, max. And I'm including off the bench on that as well. That's the way it should be without injuries. That's the way we all want it to be. So it's very concerning. It really, really is. Let's get down through some of your comments here and see what you guys have to say. We'll go back here. David says, I know he's not been our player for over a season now, but saw De Gea. Yeah, De Gea to Fiorentina. Chris is in. He says, this is a bad situation. We will be dropping points in the first month. That's the concern. You do not want to be playing catch up straight away. You know, we want to get into that top four. That should be the aim. You know, at a bare minimum, the aim should be to get into top four and challenge for maybe some cup trophies as well. Europa League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup. And we're going to be playing catch up. I honestly believe that if we don't make another signing at centre back, I think we need another signing in central midfield as well. And we need to have these done as quickly as possible. Danny says, I love Luke Shaw. He's a good player and on his day he's one of the best left backs in the world, but I'm not shocked or surprised he's injured again. He's too injury prone. Luke Shaw is robbing a living at this stage at Manchester United. He just is. He is not fit enough to play a full campaign for Manchester United. I don't think he has done so any season that he's been here. Obviously, we know he started off with the bad leg break back, you know, when his first season for us. But he's never recovered from it. Not specifically the leg break, but he's had nothing but injuries. Maybe that's the cause of it. He's getting a lot of muscular injuries now. And, you know, I was speaking about it online earlier about Luke Shaw. Who would want Luke Shaw now? I'm sure someone would take a chance on him. But, you know, getting any kind of decent money in for Luke Shaw, I think is near impossible now. One, because of his injury record, and one, because he's on savage money at Manchester United as well. So, again, we're seeing this hangover from the old regime at Manchester United that we're probably going to be unable to move on some of these players because of the money that they're on. Oshin says, I thought Ineos were the real deal for the Euro Xerxes signing, but as usual, Eric Ten Hag going into the season with an arm and a leg tied behind his back. Yeah, and look, there are positives I would say here about Ineos, and there are negatives. The positives I would give about Ineos here is that they're not bowing down to everybody else's demands, okay? And we spoke about this over the last couple of transfer windows, that United need to set the groundwork for not being taken advantage of in the transfer market going forward. Now, I think Ineos are trying to do that. They really are. We walked away from Brantwaite. We walked away from João Neves. You know, there's talks now we're walking away from De Ligt. You know, these are all major decisions by Ineos. And while it may be setting the groundwork for, you know, future deals and, you know, United are not going to be taken advantage of anymore, you do also have to realise that we need players and we need them in. We need depth in the squad. If you want to succeed and you want to reach your goals and achieve your goals, we have to sign players. So that's the big concern there. Ben says, I'm praying our new backroom staff are working silent but deadly, or we're in for another long season. Well, that's a great point as well, Ben, and one that you do have to take into consideration. We knew nothing about Lenny Yoro up until a week before he signed. Absolutely nothing. The Xerxes deal basically came out of nowhere as well. Now, we do have to take into consideration the fact that Manchester United are going to be linked with everybody and their grandmother in each transfer window. It's just how it goes. Manchester United is the biggest club in England, and it's the one that sells most headlines, gets more clicks online, gets more traffic to websites, to channels, to YouTube channels, so on and so forth. So we do have to take that into consideration. So I hope you are right, Ben, and I hope we are working, you know, silently behind the scenes to get these things done. My concern here as well is that we're unable to move players out of the club as well. And as good as Ineos are, you know, or potentially may be, and the new backroom staff at negotiating deals, players don't have to leave if they don't want to. You know, and we're going to get onto a player, you know, that falls into that category in a moment as well. Chris says, it's sad to see if we only sign 2 players in this window. It would be a nightmare. Watch Lindelof and Maguire recover after the 1st of September. Absolutely. Darryl says, Shaw's done, lads. He's missed more games than he's played for the club. Chris says, I think we punt for the Community Shield and prepare for Fulham. Community Shield means nothing. And Chris, thanks for the 21 months. Absolute legend. Feels like an eternity. Anyone else wants to become an official channel member, guys, link is in the description of the video. We've got some great content coming up for members only. We've got the quiz coming up. I'm going to do it either next week or the week after. I'm also going to be doing a weekly FPL video for members only as well. So if that's something you're interested in, click the link in the description and join as a member. Danny says, great start to the window. Xerxes and Yarrow. Then we go back to not being able to sell players. Is becoming a joke now. Worrying times ahead. Well, look, we spoke about the hangover that, you know, the club have from the old regime. Finn says, have we ever went into a new campaign feeling as undercooked and underprepared, having a clue what to expect? Chris says, if it does matter that much, sorry, what am I saying? Let me start again. If it does matter that much, then the new board should have prepared the squad so we can succeed. Ineos has failed. Well, look, I understand that, you know, the official start of the season is when the Premier League starts. Absolutely. My point being is that you want to win these games regardless. Robbie is in. He says, I think Licha, Bruno and possibly Menu need 30 minutes if possible Saturday. I wouldn't risk Shaw. Hopefully his doubt is not an injury and just not being risked. Well, that's a good point as well, Robbie. Again, I would be shocked if these players weren't included in the squad. Luke Shaw aside, you know, your Leaches, Brunos, Menus. It's all down to Ten Hag and what he's seen for him. We've seen him talking today in his interview that he mentioned about Xerxes. He said he's way behind everybody in terms of fitness because of, you know, the transfer in the summer, and obviously he's only back in pre-season and so on and so forth. So let's see what happens, but I'm going to be keeping a close eye on what the actual squad is, and we should know maybe the day before because we tend to travel down the night before to Wembley for the games at Wembley. So we should know maybe tomorrow what squad is travelling. The second Euro hobbled off the pitch, Bayern were getting the lube out. Well, look, the thing about it as well is Bayern Manchester United and that kind of standoff has kind of yo-yoed a little bit because first of all, Lenny Yoro gets injured, and second of all, you know, basically they came out and said we're not going to go and buy Ta until De Ligt is sold. So that again gives Manchester United a little bit of leeway, but again, Bayern also know that we're desperate for a second centre-back. So again, that goes back to maybe not pulling the trigger on De Ligt quicker, you know. But again, we have to say though, in Ineos's defence, Bayern haven't budged on their valuation of De Ligt since the start of the transfer window. They haven't moved on it, so you do have to take that in consideration as well. We will not sign De Ligt unless players leave first, which looks like we won't be offloading many players this summer. Worrying times. Chris says, sad that we don't have another option. Even if he is signed today, he will not be ready for Fulham. I agree. And he didn't go on Bayern's pre-season tour either, didn't he not? Shaw's a great player, but never available. Have to move him on. Shaw's like a Ferrari with a granny at the wheel. David says, thoughts on De Gea, the Fiorentina? Best of luck to him. I hope he does well. I really do. Always had great time for David De Gea. And good to see him back in the game. Best bet for Saturday is to play a back three, says Dylan. Well, we don't have two fit centre-backs, let alone three. That's the concern there. Don't think Ineos have failed the fans. They're cleaning up the mess that was created for them. And that's a great point as well by David. Again, I go back to what we've been saying for months now. There's going to be a hangover from the old regime that gave average players too much money, and these players are well entitled to see out their contracts if they want to do so, and it looks like the majority of them are going to do it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, it's going to take time for them to clean that mess up. David says, would like to give Xerxes a couple of minutes in the Shield to see where he's at for the Fulham game, especially with Highland injured. From a fan standpoint, David, 100%. I agree with you. I'd love to see Xerxes get on the field, play some minutes, get a look at him. Eric Ten Hag and the coaching staff know more. They're obviously, closely monitoring him in training, and they'll know whether he's ready for minutes or not. Dylan says, De Ligt United is off according to One Football. Bayern pulled out of the race for that. Yep, we just mentioned all of that as well. If we get pasted by City, then Eric Ten Hag is under pressure straight away. What do you think of João Gomez, Wolves, CDM being linked with us? Yeah, I did see a small bit on it today. There's talks of, is it 58 million they're looking for? Something like that. if we're unwilling to pay 43 for De Ligt, I don't know. I think there's more. Right, well, let's put up a poll here and see what you guys think. We'll end this poll and we'll do another one and see what you guys think. What is the priority in the transfer window? So we'll say we'll say midfield, we'll say defence, and we'll say attack. So get your votes in on the poll, guys. What do you think is the priority now for Manchester United in the transfer window? Is the priority, does it have to be defence? Does it have to be midfield? Or does it have to be attack? Get your votes in and we'll see what you guys think. For me personally, I think at the moment it has to be central defence. That has to be our priority over the next couple of weeks because we are so thin when it comes to that area. With Lenny Oro being injured, and then the quality of Maguire and Lindelof is not good enough. So I think for that reason, I think first and foremost it has to be centre back, and then central midfield for me, or midfield in general. But yeah, talking about defence then, guys, and we've been talking there a little bit about being unable to move players out of the club. Okay, and you know, like I said, we've spoke about it on numerous occasions. Big money, big salaries of players that are at Manchester United at the moment. And look, we spoke about this a little bit, but again, it's been reiterated today. Aaron Wan-Bissaka supposedly is asking for a £7 million payoff from Manchester United to leave the club. Okay, we've heard over the last couple of days that West Ham's pursuit of Wan-Bissaka has cooled because they can't agree on personal terms with him. Aaron Wan-Bissaka wants too much money, West Ham can't afford it, and he wants a payoff by Manchester United to leave. He basically wants his contract fulfilled for him to leave. And again, this goes back to what we've been saying. This old regime, and to be honest with you, I'm quite surprised out of Aaron Wan-Bissaka if this is to be believed. Okay, now again, we always say with our reports and not our reports, but what the news that we talk about, take everything with a pinch of salt. We don't know if this is to be true or not. Aaron Wan-Bissaka always came across as the type of player that didn't get too bogged down in wages, in contracts, in negotiations and stuff. You know, doesn't do the media, very quiet, puts his head down, works hard, you know, plays his football and goes home, you know. And I'm very surprised to hear that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is looking for a payout to leave Manchester United. Again, I go back to what I've said about it. You know, a player is well within their rights to stay and see out their contract if they want to do so. However, looking for a payoff to leave the club, I don't agree with at all. And I think Manchester United need to take a firm stance on that. I don't think we've ever done that, to be honest with you. Somebody can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. I don't believe we've ever paid a player to leave the club. And I don't think we would be starting with Aaron Wan-Bissaka doing that. I'm okay with Aaron Wan-Bissaka staying. It would be disappointing that we don't get, you know, the 15 to 18 million pounds that potentially we could get for him this summer. And especially with the likes of PSR and FFP being so close for Manchester United over the last few years, you would hope we can get whatever money into the club that we can. But if Aaron Wan-Bissaka stays and we can't get rid of him because of his wage demands, then brilliant. Happy days. Aaron, you're a backup again for the upcoming season. Grand. Let's move away and maybe try and get a new left back in by the end of the transfer window rather than, you know, a right back. It would be disappointing. We would be losing out on potentially 18 million. But, I mean, if that's the case, that's the case. There's nothing we can really do about that. We just have to, you know, pull up our jocks and continue to move. So, yeah, I mean, the right-back situation is a situation that... And again, look, we mentioned it. Would it be within Manchester United's... you know, would it be a positive thing for United to maybe offer him an extension on his contract? I don't know. Are you maybe delaying the inevitable of him doing this again in another 12 months if you extend him by a year or two or whatever the case may be? I'm sure he's not going to sign a new deal on lower wages. because the reason he's not leaving Manchester United is because he can't get the same wages at a different club. So again, we're in a bit of a whirlpool when it comes to trying to get players out. You know, we've heard the same with Harry Maguire last year to West Ham, Scott McTominay, Fulham, for example. We just cannot get rid of these players because they're on too high of a salary, and it's a big concern. It's a big concern. Let's see. Dylan says defense is the biggest problem. We can fix the midfield problem since Xerxes is in. We can play a 4-4-2 formation. Sorted. Yeah, and look, again, you do have to really take into consideration that Mason Mount is now back and flying it in pre-season as well, so he'll be like a new signing there as well. Robbie says, I think a 6, the record amount of shots we conceded last season comes from being played through too easily. Absolutely spot on, Robbie. I agree with you 100%. You know, we were so wide open and we were transitioned on so many times per game, let alone so many times last season. It was very, very worrying. Does Erik ten Hag change his formation if he can't get a new DM in? You know, does he go 2 number 6s with Bruno Fernandes playing ahead of him? I don't know. Does Kobbie Mainoo play deeper? I don't know. I don't think that the defensive side of Kobbie Mainoo's game is spectacular, to be honest with you. We know how good he is going forward and in possession, but he's not the fastest in the world. And we know Casemiro's legs are pretty much gone as well. So you do make a great point there on the number 6. Thomas says, we play City and Liverpool in the next month. We're so not ready. Defender and midfielder, says Daryl. Danny says, giving players stupid, crazy wages has come back to bite us in the ass. Nobody else will give them the wages they are on at Man United. That needs to change. Well, let me ask you guys this then. Would you sacrifice a couple of transfer windows to stabilise the wage situation at Manchester United? Or do you splash the cash? You know what I mean? It's a tough one. Would you rather keep Maguire or Lindelof? Probably Maguire, to be honest with you. I think he's probably a better backup. Again, neither of them are really good enough, but probably Maguire. You know, if you're 2-0 up in a game and you're playing against Wolves or you're playing against West Ham or Fulham or someone like that, and the team, you know, the opposition start to go long and start to launch balls, you get Maguire onto the pitch and get him to head every ball away. He is good in the air. I think that'd be his agent talking, says Ben. Dylan says the first half of the season is going to be dreadful for us. We need to get rid of those damn doctors, get new ones. That's why we're getting injuries so much. The doctors are terrible. Well, look, let's be a bit realistic for a moment here. Lenny Yoro was at the club for 4 days. That's not the doctor's fault. You know what I mean? Rasmus Højlund, again, another muscle injury for him. He had muscle injuries before he came to Manchester United as well. I do take your point, obviously, but there are some instances where, you know, they're freak of nature, really. It has to be said. Let's see, Finn says, we couldn't sell a box of matches to a pyromaniac. Oshin says, Mount isn't a 40-game-a-season player. No, he's not, but the kind of role that Mount would play there, you could play him, you know, as a backup to both Bruno Fernandes and Kobbie Mainoo if you wanted, and he can play on the right-hand side as well. So, while I don't think Mason Mount will be a regular starter, I think, well, look, I mean, let's look at it this way. Rasmus Højlund is injured, okay? Xerxes is going to take a few weeks to get up to speed. Do you play Bruno in a false 9 and play Mason Mount in Bruno's role right behind him? I think that's quite feasible, to be honest with you. So maybe Mason Mount will get more game time. I hope he does, and I hope he has a great season because there is a very good footballer there. Yeah, we read that one already. Sancho, Ugarte swap. Here we go, says Finn. Dylan says, so what you're saying is it's the club's fault for buying injury-prone players. No, it's not. I didn't say that at all. I just said, I mentioned one player who had a back injury coming to Manchester United. I mean, you look at Lisandro Martinez's 2 injuries, for example. The first one is the same one that Lenny Yoro has now, pretty much, which is nobody was near him. It was a freak of nature. The second one, a player fell on his knee at the end line, and you can't do anything about either of them. So there are situations there that you can't really lay the blame at the medical department. Now you're talking about muscular injuries and players pulling hamstrings and groin strains and calf strains and so on and so forth. Yeah, then you're talking about maybe we have to look at the workload and what players are doing maybe off the field and so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, look at Terrell Malacia, for example. He's not going to be back till October now, supposedly. He's going to be out for up to nearly 16 months, somebody was saying he could be out until. So, yeah. No, the RO1 is to do with the dirt turf in America. Thomas says, how is it the doctor's fault when it's the same players getting injured? Dylan says, probably a winger as well if we can afford it, because I think we lack the creativity for the strikers to score. Luke says we need to bring Collier into that midfield. Collier's going to get game time. Collier was in my predicted 11 in my match preview. Go check it out once this is over as well, guys. I think Collier's going to be... I have a feeling Collier could be in and play this weekend. I really do. So... sorry, give me 1 sec. So I think Collier could easily play on the weekend alongside maybe Casemiro, and he's done well in pre-season as well, in fairness to him. There's talks of Sancho running the line up front for us, says Dylan. Chris says, so we paid €55 million to Chelsea for a backup. I don't know. I don't think anyone can explain it. Macmillan says Berge is on the go. The transfer is moving forward. Right, let's talk about it. Okay, it was going to be the next point that I bring up. Reports today suggesting that he has verbally agreed to join Manchester United and that personal terms have been agreed. Now we spoke about this guy. We done a little bit of a scout report on him over on TikTok the other day, and again, a lot of Manchester United fans lost their fucking shit over this report because we're going in for a player who's got relegated with Burnley and Sheffield United and so on and so forth. I don't think he is as bad as a lot of people have been saying. Now, look, I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to be one, I'm not going to be like that Spurs fan channel a couple of weeks ago where somebody put up a fake name and they started talking about how great the player was. I haven't seen an awful lot of this guy play, and name me a Manchester United fan who has, and I'll ask him the questions. But I think he's a big chap. Okay, the defensive side of his game, he's got quite high attributes, early ball turnovers, so on and so forth. He's also got good pass percentage and progressive carries as well, which means he likes to get on the ball and progress it up the field and carry it up the field, which is good. From all of them traits, you would say are the modern day DM. Okay, so I don't think we would be getting a bad player at all. And when you're talking about getting him for anywhere between 20 and 25 million, I don't think it's a bad deal. Now, does he come in and take the reins at Manchester United as the new DM? You tell me. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. Does he come in and take Casemiro's spot straight away? Is Casemiro that bad? Is he that good? That remains to be seen. But what it would give us is a bit of depth within that midfield. And you could then look at maybe trying to get rid of the likes of... Scott McTominay is not really a defensive midfielder either. So I think he comes in, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get rid of another player in that midfield, because it's basically just Casemiro as our DM, as our only DM at the moment. So yeah, look, it would be depth, and it would be a good addition to the squad, because by God we need it. And again, like we said, midfield, while it might not be the first priority in my eyes, I do think I do think it's very important. Now, the Muppeteers have been talking, and as you can see here, let me zoom in on it. They have said that there are some indications that from people around Sander Berge that his potential transfer to Manchester United is moving forward. So Man United, look, we are going to sign more players, okay, between now and the end of the transfer window. Our concern here, and it's been our concern for the last couple of transfer windows, is we haven't got players in quick enough, okay? Now, I would have been okay with, if this guy comes in before the start of the transfer window, before the start of the season, so next Friday, I would be okay with the signings of Yoro, him, and Xerxes, obviously, if Yoro was still fit, because you've got 3 additions to 3 areas that we needed to improve, okay? And you've still got 2 weeks to add to them additions. Now, ideally, in an ideal world, we would want 2 centre-backs, 2 centre midfielders and a striker in. Absolutely we would. And you'd want them in before pre-season. But you've got to be realistic here as well, guys. Look at all of the other clubs around us, okay? Very few deals. I mean, Liverpool haven't signed anybody yet. Man City, I think, have only signed 1. Have they? Chelsea are just away with the fairies. Arsenal have been very quiet. Spurs have been very quiet. Villa have been very quiet. 1 or 2 signings max for each of these teams. So we do have to be realistic. There has been a slowdown in terms of the transfer market this summer. And it's all, especially in the Premier League, and it's all to do with FFP and PSR, because clubs have spent lavishly over the last couple of years, and with the clampdown on the likes of Everton and Nottingham Forest and whatever's coming for Manchester City as well, clubs are saying, right, well, we have to be really careful here, because we don't want a 6-point deduction, because a 6-point deduction could take you from Europa League to 10th. Easily it could by the end of the season. So it's going to be interesting to see what goes on between now and the end of the transfer window. But like I said, I do think we will make more signings. It's just the quicker we can get them done, the better. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Let me see. Richard is in. He says hi. And Dylan says, bring Luke Amas in for left back. Harry Amas, best option we have. Yeah, he's in my predicted 11 as well for Sunday or for Saturday. Amas will grab that jersey too from Shaw. Shaw will find it hard to get it back. Give the kid the chance. Give him the chance. He's 17. I listened to his interview after one of the pre-season games last week. He looks like a young, confident lad with a good head on his shoulders. I say give it to him. Give him that left-back position and let's see how he gets on. And you can do it in the Community Shield because it's nearly a free hit. You know what I mean? It's a free hit. See how he gets on against, I don't know, someone like Jack Grealish or, somebody like that. Go look at the Muppeteers. Yeah, we just mentioned that. Arsenal just bought a lad that done the 4 ligaments in his knee. A lot of luck involved keeping players fit. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Chris says, no way we pay 30 million for Sander Berge. Yeah, I think 30 million would be a bit too high. He's not as bad, but he's not as good as Fellaini. Oshin says, not the player we need. He's a Weghorst at the wrong end of the field in what I've seen. So we settled for Berge, but yet we can't find another centre-back. Danny says, we go from Manuel Ugarte to Sander Berge. 20 million compared to 60 million is nothing, but he's not good enough to play for a big club like Man United. I have to say no. Only positive is a low cost, in my honest opinion, says Oshin. Liverpool won't get Zubamendi. Yeah, this is a Man United channel. Chris says, talk about low-hanging fruit. Amrabat is less expensive than Berge. Mike Millen says, Berge would be great next to Manu, lifts the floor at United, and then next season we get Wharton, and that lifts the ceiling. Yeah, well, again, there might, and Wharton is an absolutely fantastic player. He's a player that is probably going to, get a big move in the next couple of years from Crystal Palace. Were they mentioning it? Was he the guy they were mentioning on the overlap today? I think they were. Just go and get him now if you could, and get him for cheaper than you would in a year or two's time. Let's see. 100k a week supposedly offered. That's the Berge. Yeah, well, that's way too much, in my opinion. Dylan says, Ineos are just trying stuff. If he don't be any good, then F it, we tried with him. We will learn then to get good players that are up to our standards. Let's see. Macmillan says, we signed Roy Keane from relegated Forest. Carrick got relegated with West Ham. Berge murdered us when he played with Burnley last season. He can be to United what Endo was to Liverpool last season. Yeah, look, I'm not against the signing. I'm absolutely not. I think he would be a decent addition. Would I prefer Ugarte? Yes, that's the point there. To give Fred away for 13 million or whatever it was and buy Berg for 20 sounds nuts. Yeah, well, I don't want Fred back either, to be honest. Warren says, I've said for a while, we don't need world-class signings. We need Prem quality signings and build from there. Just been a predictable poor showing so far, but there's still time. That's a great point that Warren makes. And we've been saying this with Ineos coming in, that, the Galacticos signings for Manchester United are over, and we want them to be over. We don't want to be signing, the Di Marias, the Falcaos, the Zlatan Ibrahimovic's anymore. And you can't have your cake and eat it. If you want to go and sign players under the radar, we have to go back and say what we say about Dan Ashworth, about Jason Wilcox, about Omar Barada. Look, historically, they've got their homework done and they tend to get it right more than they get it wrong when it comes to signing players. If they decide Berg is the next one on the list, if you can't get Ugarte, we have to trust them, okay? And we have to trust them for a couple of transfer windows. And then if it doesn't go right, then we can say, right, what the fuck is going on in the background? But for now, me personally, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but for me personally, give it time. Give it time. Let's see. Luke says, can you see United having another season like last season with injuries and players out of position? We can't be as unlucky again this season as we were last. Not saying, we can't afford to. It would be impossible to get 60 injuries again this season. It just would. When you mentioned about City, Arsenal, Liverpool all making minimal signings so far, it does make United's window look way better already. I agree, more to come, just a matter of who and when. Yes, 100% David, and that's the positive side of it. The negative side of it is they all have better squads than us at the moment. You know what I mean? So we do have to weigh up, the pros and cons there also. Let's see. Robbie says Yusuf Fofana would be worth a look, but not sure what the money being touted is. Yeah, we spoke about him, Robbie, last week, and trying to, or was it the start of this week, trying to take him from under the nose of AC Milan. He's agreed personal terms with AC Milan. He wants to go there. Supposedly United are in talks with his representatives, they're in talks with Monaco over a price. And usually if that's the case, talking to his representatives either are currently going on or they're not too far away. I would love Fofana. I think he'd be a great signing. Hamels says, if we have another injury crisis, I'll actually cry. Dylan says, I think Ineos and the lads in the back know what they're doing. Well, let's hope so. Right, finally, guys, a little bit on Jadon Sancho. Okay, Paris Saint-Germain step up their efforts to sign him this summer. They are believed to be intensifying their efforts to sign Jadon Sancho. Upon returning from his loan spell, he appears to have reconciled. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Where are we going? At the start of the window, PSG expressed an interest in signing Sancho, with Manuel Ugarte expected to depart for United as part of a proposed swap deal. Last month, PSG advanced in their pursuit of Sancho, reportedly agreeing personal terms with him. Yesterday, Fabrizio Romano claimed that there is still a chance that Sancho could leave Old Trafford late in the transfer window, although there is still a strong possibility that he would remain at the club. Now, however, it appears as if the winger is edging closer towards the exit door. Football Insider have reported that PSG are closing in on Sancho's signature. According to the report, United are openly willing to offload him this summer despite his reconciliation with Erik ten Hag. Talks are underway with PSG, and a source claims that a deal is increasingly likely to happen this month, the article declared. So yeah, I mean, Jadon Sancho leaving Manchester United, I think the majority of people are in agreement that we should move him on. A couple of decent showings in pre-season. However, we do know that he has had a few decent appearances and a few decent games in the past. However, Sancho's issue has been professionalism and consistency, and he hasn't had either of them throughout the majority of his career in as a whole, let alone just Manchester United. I would like to move him on. Does that open the door for Manuel Ugarte back to Manchester United? I hope it does. You know, if United want, let's say United want 40 million for Jadon Sancho, we say to PSG, look, will you just lower your offer or lower your price for Ugarte? We'll knock 10 million off for Sancho just to get him off the books, because we know he's on savage money there as well. So you'd be saving a lot of money by getting both of them deals done on wages alone. I think this is something that could happen. It's not going to happen anytime soon. I do think it could drag on till the end of the transfer window, especially when you're looking at one player in, one player out between the same clubs. You know, they tend to be a lot more complicated. So yeah, I mean, look, I'm blue in the face talking about Jadon Sancho, and it's not a major update. We do know that communication continues to happen between United and PSG. We just want to hear that. Right, here we go. It's on, blah, blah, blah. The poll, guys, as well. What's the priority? 34% say midfield, 65% say attack, and 0% say defence in terms of what's the priority now in the transfer window. Guys, if you haven't already done so, please do smash a like on the video. Hit subscribe if you aren't new to the channel as well. Like I said, we are on the road to 11,000 subscribers. I nearly have the new merch store set up and ready to go as well. I'm just in the process of getting the designs re-uploaded, so on and so forth. I know there was a few issues with the last merch store that we had, in terms of, delays on items being arrived stuff. This is a lot more in-house and legitimate and, good quality stuff. So looking forward to bringing that to you as well. I should have the link and everything ready to go for the watch-along on Saturday. Speaking of the watch-along, like I said, we will be live. We'll be live from 2:30 on Saturday as well. Really looking forward to it. United's first game back. The jersey, that one there is going to be on. We'll be wearing it. The kitman.eu will be sponsoring the live as well. So really looking forward to that, guys. Go check out the match reaction video as well if you haven't done so already, guys. We uploaded it today. I'll be doing the match reaction videos for I will say every game this season, time allowing, of course, but I will be uploading them 2 days before each game where possible. Now, if we've got, a game on a Sunday and a game on, a Wednesday, for example, or a game on a Monday, a game on a Thursday, then I might have to do it the day before. But yeah, turn on notifications, guys. You get notified as soon as we upload any new content or any time we go live. You'll be the first in to say hello. So I really do appreciate it. And if you're watching on TikTok, hit the follow button as well, and get over to YouTube as well, guys. We do all of our lives over on YouTube. Link is on my homepage. Head over to YouTube, hit subscribe. We do 1 or 2 lives every now and again on TikTok, so make sure you're getting over to YouTube, hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out. Guys, I really do appreciate everybody watching and contributing in the chat as well. Really good live chat tonight. I do appreciate it. Like I said, check out the memberships below the video if it's something you want to get involved with. The memberships are flying up. I think we have nearly 60 channel members now, and I really do appreciate the support. I will have discounts for channel members as well for the merchandise coming up on Saturday, so keep an eye out for that as well. If you want to become an official channel member, link is in the description. Legends, appreciate you watching. Hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. I'll chat to you tomorrow night from 9 again as usual for the news show, and then we've got to watch along on Saturday. United are back. Let's stay positive, all right? Let's stay positive. It's not all negative. Ineos, I trust you. See you tomorrow.